we have a moment of prayer? Gracious and holy God, we give you thanks for this day that you richly blessed us with. We pray that as we gather in this place, you will be with us, strengthening us with your love and your grace, and making it possible for us to be sustained another day, enabling us to experience again the joy of knowing who you are and whose we are in relationship with you. Lord, this day enable us to lay aside all our concerns, all our worries, all our troubles, and focus our eyes so firmly on you that we can see in you the glorious possibilities of what can be. Holy God, speak to us your word, challenge us in our faith, motivate us to be your people. In Jesus' name, amen. A young man went to a fortune teller. He was curious to find out what his life would be like. She laid the cards out, she stared at the crystal ball, she read his horoscope and looked at him and said, well, you're going to be poor and unhappy until you're 37. The young man said to her, wow, what's going to happen then? He says, will I be rich? Will I be famous? Will things finally come together? Will my life be transformed and made anew? Will I finally be on top? The fortune teller looked at him and says, no, you'll still be poor, you'll still be unhappy, but by then you'll be used to it. You know, sometimes it seems like life just goes so much our way that the only way of dealing with it is just kind of getting used to it. You know, the sun comes up, you get out of bed, and you just kind of expect that there's going to be problems. There's going to be trouble. There's going to be difficulties. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes we kind of get that demeanor about us, and everywhere we go, we're kind of glum and looking down, and, well, guess what happened to me today, and guess what happened to me yesterday, and guess what happened last week, and I just know that tomorrow's not going to be any better. And unfortunately, sometimes we get caught up in that. And we just wonder, why? Why, God? Why is it seeming that every time I take a step forward, I get knocked back? Well, not even 2 or 3, but seemingly like half a dozen or more. Why is it every time the sun comes up, all I can think about is it's a new day, it's a new problem? Why is it, oh God, that it just seems as if this joy that you talk about is fleeting and transitory? Where is it? Well, people in Paul's day weren't all that different than people in our day. They asked those same kinds of questions. They had the same kinds of struggles. Oh yeah, ours are a little bit different. I mean, we're worried about, is our car going to get fixed? Is our computer going to, make it through the next upgrade? What about my phone? I dropped it the other day. Is it going to work? We have some technological problems that they didn't have. But they might have been worried about, was the chariot going to get a new wheel in time to make it into Grandma's house? I don't know. I guess maybe that can happen too. But stuff happened then. Stuff happened now. But through it all, we have to find a way of, going through it and overcoming. Paul wrote this letter to the Colossian church to try and help them understand some things, not only about their faith, but in this section also to understand some things about how to get through it, how to get to the other side. He crafts part of it in the form of a prayer for them and a prayer for the church, and that's part of what we look at today. Now, the latter part of that section is where the kind of the heavy theology comes in. It's his basis for why he can say the things that he says. He talks about this God, this Christ, this one whom through all things were made. I like the way that the message talks about it, where it talks about this roominess, this space, this God in whose presence all things can be made anew, all things can be brought together, all things can find a place. Paul starts with that theology, and he talks about Christ as the firstborn, as the image, as really Christ the King, the one who becomes that Lord of the universe, who, because he assumes that position, because of his death and his resurrection, because he is the one whom God has called forth and sent into the world, and because he then raises him up, because of him and who he is, because of his connection to all of the universe, to God and to us, then in him we can find strength. In him, then, we can find hope. In him, we can find a way to endure, be patient, and to experience joy. Those are the three things that Paul mentioned about earlier in that section that he encourages us in that wonderful verse in verse 11 for us to have. And he prays for us to have them as well. Paul prays first that we will have the strength to endure. The strength to endure. Now, endurance is that idea of holding fast, of being strong no matter what. Now, I've never been a marathon runner. I don't imagine I'll ever be a marathon runner. But having talked to some, those people who do those hyper-long distances that just seem impossible to me to even consider, they talk about the ability to endure, to keep going, to hold fast to their goal, to the direction, to be able to be strong and endure even that final mile, those final steps, that final crossing of the finish line. When Paul prays for endurance, he is talking about something that will keep us strong no matter what, that will enable us to endure whatever life brings our way. Sometimes life can be pretty hurtful. Sometimes life can be pretty harsh. Sometimes life is filled with so many uncertainties that all we can do is say, God, help me endure this day. Help me get to the other side. Help me be strong. Help me to be able to face what is happening right now. Help me to know that you are with me in the midst of this place of uncertainty. Enable me to endure. Paul prays for strength for that church and for us today, that we might be able to have that strength to endure no matter what may come our way. Then Paul talks about patience. He prays for us to have the strength to remain patient. Now, that may seem like the same thing as endurance, but I want to suggest that being patient is a little bit different. Because I may be trying to endure, but I may be doing it impatiently. For example, let's say, I'm saying to God, okay, God, I'm going to try to endure. I'm going to try to stick it out. I'm going to try to get through this, but I'm letting you know right now, I'm only going to give it till Tuesday. You ever been there with that? I mean, have you ever done that to God and say, God, here's my time off. I want you to know, I am going to be faithful, I'm going to be strong, I'm going to make it to the other side, but you got to take care of it by such and such a date. I mean, I get that. I've been there. I'm a calendar person. I would like to know that on such and such a date, things will be fine. Life will be perfect. That's how we're created. It'd be really wonderful in some ways if you just knew that, by December 31st, 2015, everything would be great. Unfortunately, Paul realized that what we really needed was a healthy dose of patience to go along with our endurance. Enduring gives us the strength to persevere. Enduring gives us the strength to go on. But we need a dose of patience that kind of keeps us calm. That keeps us centered. That lets us know that while we're enduring the difficulties that we are facing, while we've been strengthened by God to face them, we also need to pray for the patience of God to so fill our lives that we can trust and have faith that while we are enduring, while we are waiting, God will be there with us through it all. So he prays for the strength to be, Paul prays for the strength to endure, he prays for the strength for us to be patient, and finally he prays for the strength for us to experience joy. For us to experience joy. Joy is one of those things that we talk about in the life of the church that sometimes I think is difficult to grasp and hold on to. All because I think all too often we associate happiness with joy. And that's really a mistake. Yes, there are things in this life that make me happy. They don't necessarily bring me joy. I might like a good cheeseburger once in a while. That may make me happy to say we've gone to my favorite restaurant. Might not necessarily bring me joy. In fact, probably later I'll beat myself up because I really shouldn't eat it in the first place. Joy is something that transcends happiness. Joy is finding that place for God in your life, no matter what you're experiencing, no matter what you're enduring, no matter what you're having to use all the patience that God has given you For you can still find a place where there's a sense of hope and joy in your life, even though you might not be happy. There are things in my life that don't bring happiness to me, but I can say even in the midst of them, I am joyful. I am joyful. I am joyful. I mean, I will admit, sometimes the trustees meeting isn't the happiest place on earth. It has nothing to do with the people there. But it's kind of like, okay, the fire marshal came this week. What did he find? It rained last week. Where did you say the new leak was? Oh, how many years is that out of code that we have to get that? It happens. But while there might be things there that might not make me happy, I can say there's a sense of joy in my heart because there's a group of people working with the church to try and get us on a path where things will be taken care of. It's the same way in our life. There may be things that are happening in our personal lives that may not fill us with happiness, but we might be able to find a sense of joy because we know that even in the midst of them, God is present, God is caring, God is leading, and we can be connected with that sense of joy and know that God's joy will fill us up even in those moments as well. And so, when we're faced with these difficult times, when we're faced with these difficult situations, we should remember always the word of strength that Paul offered to us. His prayer for endurance, to hold fast no matter what. His prayer for patience, to be patient and wait upon the time when God will intercede. And the prayer for strength to experience joy, that even in the midst of those places of uncertainty, we might find a place of joy. And God's grace and mercy so fill us with all of that strength this day. I hear the other footsteps.